Emotions, huh? This is exactly, I guess, where this video is at. It's a tough one at the moment. It really is. And I'm showing up to share my experience with my nervous system whilst moving through what I'm experiencing is the emotion we may know as grief, sadness, a bit of helplessness. And I'm sharing this because these emotions that I've just listed, they carry an ammo and power. They carry charge. And when we're talking about the emotional scale and how that feels in our body, I wanted to show up in real time as I'm experiencing these vibrations, which are known as emotions, which have a very somatic experience on my body. And I wanted to share exactly what I've noticed in my body, in my thoughts, and my experience as we move through this time of sadness. You may have seen that both my husband and I have done everything we can to help Zazu not get out of our property. My husband has incredibly built 3 attempts at fences, the last one being so high we had no idea she would even think about scaling it, but she has, and it puts her in danger, and of course keeps us in that space where we're like, is she going to do it again, which doesn't help either of us. So the best decision moving forward with the resources that we have exhausted is to rehome our beautiful little 8-month-old cattle dog Zazu. And I'm showing up because I've been sharing with you guys about the nervous system, about the emotional scale, and these emotions also need to be felt as we also experience things like joy and appreciation and gratitude and love and compassion. And I'm sharing because I'm right at the other end of the scale today, and it's really important to not ignore these emotions or these vibrations and these feelings, and we need to move through them in order to move up the emotional scale. And I very much grew up in a space where I didn't feel anything. I never cried. I only cried properly when I was in my mid-30s. And once again, like losing Lily, the amount of tears that I've had already, I'm proud of myself for being able to cry, to be able to feel and to be in the reality of what's happening, be in the sadness, be in the grief, be in the pain that, you know, of losing someone, something that means so much to you, but also holding myself in a compassionate space. And this is what I wanted to talk about today, because no matter what's going on, we always have a choice as to how compassionate we can be with ourselves through the experience. And knowing that Zazu is going to an amazing home on a property with other dogs, and, you know, where she can really like thrive and not jump fences, it really does make me feel so calm and settled to know that this is exactly what's meant to happen. But it doesn't mean to say that I need to push down the grief or the sadness or what I'm experiencing, because for me, this is how I'm going to help regulate my body so that I don't become unwell and I feel everything I need to feel in order to climb up the rung. So I wanted to talk about that in this video, because we tend to, and this is just my experience, I grew up again with the belief that, you know, I could just soldier on and push everything down. You know, I became so good at that, especially, you know, as I've mentioned in previous videos, moving through disordered eating for 25 years, everything was suppress. Don't feel the emotions, just cover it up. And that's where the addictions come in. You know, it's this, emotions want to come up and out. We can feel it's a very somatic effect in our body. But if we have practice like what I did, pushing them down and suppressing, then what happens is these emotions that are suppressed are going to come up as illness, sickness, inflammation, and dis-ease. And I, for one, have experienced that big time, of course, with so much suppression over so many years. And I've learned over time to use my body as this incredible vehicle and vessel that is telling me everything I need to know. And when we feel this shift in vibration, is in emotions, okay, we feel grief or suffering or like helplessness or despair, sadness, that's going to feel a certain way. Same as appreciation, joy, gratitude, love, kindness, that's going to feel a certain way too. None of this is good or bad. It's just different radio stations, so to speak, and we need to feel all of it, not label one as good, one as bad. It's part of the scale. It's like if we go to a music event, so to speak, and say there's one solo piano player in the whole auditorium, and he is playing this piece of music that everyone is just, loving and into it, and you can feel it, and some people are crying, and it's that heartfelt. But then he drops I can't even think of the word at the moment, as I said, of what I'm moving through at the moment, but he changes the vibration. He starts to play really slow and deep, and you can feel the sadness in the music, right? The people stay in the auditorium. No one leaves the room, People might be crying tears that it resonates. It feels, heavy and it feels sad, but they stay and they listen to him because it's beautiful. They experience all the lows and the highs of that beautiful piece of music. But what we tend to do as humans is when we go into these emotions such as grief or sadness or helplessness or despair, we tend to leave the room, right? And this is when we go into this numbing state of our nervous system known as freeze or fawn, which is this: I'm exiting the chat room energy. I'm just tapping out. I'm just going to numb. I'm just going to drink. I'm just going to go for a run. I'm just going to, all of the things that we choose to numb with, to not feel. And I know because I've been there. So for me right now, moving through what we're moving through with Zazu, it would be easy to numb. It would be easy not to feel. It would be easy to go and do everything today. But today, again, I need to sit with it, or I need to cry. I need to feel, because if I don't feel, then what's going to happen in my body is my nervous system will think that there is a real live threat. And at the end of the day, there's no threat. Zazu is going to a good home, right? We're doing the best thing we can do for her. And being compassionate with myself through this time is exactly what's needed, right? So for me today, and I'll give you a bit of an overview of what this looks like in my body. When we went through the options last night, there's a lot of tears. I felt my body just become heavy. I felt my heart kind of fall out of my chest. I felt my breathing actually became quite shallow and slow, and my body kind of just felt like it just closed, and there was a lot of tears and heaviness. And basically my husband and I just kind of sat there, and we just, sat in it. We didn't talk a lot. It was just this feeling of, this is really sad right now, and just allowing that to be there, knowing each other's there to co-regulate and actually go, it's okay, it's okay. But beating ourselves up or going, we should have done it, it doesn't get us anywhere. And at the end of the day, when you've exhausted your resources, you can't push shit uphill, and you can't resist stuff. That's when stuff becomes really challenging. And when our body is fighting something, you are then going to be fighting off inflammation, sickness, and disease. So we have to go with the flow with everything we're doing when we're trying to look after our nervous system. So at the moment, these feelings that I'm feeling of grief and sadness and despair are right down the lower end of the vibrational scale, right? Which means that my nervous system is highly likely in a state of dorsal, okay? I'm experiencing these freeze-like experiences in my body at the moment, but I'm also aware, and there's a term for it and I just can't cap it at the moment, where it's like my vagal brake has jumped into line, and it's like, hang on a second, I'm still present with what's going on. I'm aware that I'm experiencing sadness and grief and things like that, but I'm aware to also sit with it and to not numb. So I've got this presence of compassion through these feelings of grief and despair and sadness. And this is really what I wanted to talk to you about today, because we still need to show up, but it's important to to really take what you need when you're moving through grief and sadness and despair. Otherwise, we will get sick, right? So it is so, so important. Whereas the old me would have absolutely done everything in her power to run and numb from what I was unwilling to feel. And as I move through this experience, I'm going to give myself permission to cry as much as I need to. I'm going to give myself permission to rest, permission to pause, permission to stop. I'm not afraid of crying anywhere and everywhere that asks for my need to let it out. And from someone who grew up never allowing herself to express emotion or give herself away or to have this armor on consistently 24/7, I'm really proud of myself to actually cry. Even these days when I cry, I'm like, go me. I'm allowing the tears to come out. I'm allowing myself to feel, because the only way that we climb back up this ladder is to feel what we need to feel. So let me just explain briefly, and I explain this more in my nervous system workshops or courses, but when we're down the bottom of that ladder, and it happens, we didn't expect this to happen. So yesterday was this big, jump from ventral into fight flight. What can we do? How do we do this? And, in that doing energy of like, how can we make this work? And then when you realize it can't work, that fight flight energy, you drop down into despair. It's like, well, there's nothing we can do. I've dropped down into freeze, dissociation, shut down. It's just like, I can't do anything, right? And it's this incredible response system of the nervous system, my body trying to look after me through this phase. So as we move through this, likely what's going to happen is I'm going to have to move up into anger, right? Or frustration, but I'm likely, whether it be today or tomorrow, I'm going to need to get angry. I'm going to need to get angry that we can't keep Zazu, right? And that's okay. And my anger doesn't need to be explained to anyone, right? It's just something I need to feel, because anger feels better than helplessness and hopelessness. Anger feels better than despair. Anger feels better, right, than depression, right? So getting angry is going to be what's needed. I might need to go punch something, right? I need to go scream into a pillow. Again, angry. I'm going to cry. I'm going to get frustrated. And that's a good thing, because it moves me up a couple of levels of the rung. Anger is a mobilized energy, right? So I move from this shutdown energy into anger, which is tension, and I get it out, which gives me the ability to then move into acceptance. And acceptance is a higher vibration than anger or frustration. So when you look at the emotional scale, right, it's such an incredible way to help you move back up the polyvagal ladder to safety. And that's what I wanted to share today. So when we notice ourselves fall down into these deeper states or these deeper vibrations or deeper emotions, whatever you want to call it, right? Your nervous system, right, also will fall down, and you will land into a space of your dorsal vagal system, or shut down, known as freeze or fawn. And this is again where we tap out of the room. And if we don't notice this is when the behaviors can creep in that don't serve our body. But if you can drop into that place with awareness and understand your nervous system is just trying to protect you, my body is just trying to protect me here, and I have compassion for that, then I can actually land here, sit in what I need to sit, feel what I need to feel, eventually start to move up those rungs into anger or blame and things like that. And they are not bad emotions. We have been taught that being angry is bad. It is not bad. And again, you don't have to explain yourself to anyone. If you need to move up to anger to get out what's going on under here, to shift yourself from depressive or hopeless or despair-based thoughts, to get up that, I'm going to get angry about this, go for it. Give yourself permission. And then from that, you clear that out, you get it out, and you're like, okay, I can accept what's going on, and it's okay. So yeah, it's a tough one, but I'm showing up because I do talk on the nervous system. The body is everything to me, and it is our biggest teacher. And when we give ourselves permission to feel what we need to feel and understand, it's just a range or a scale of vibration. It's not here to hurt us. It's our body looking after us. Then we can have so much more compassion when we're going through the grief or the suffering, or when somebody else is around you, to actually go, hey, like, I get it, I understand, do what you need to do, and give yourself that permission to rest, to get angry, to let it out, to cry, because that's what people, us humans, need to do to help regulate back to safety. I hope this resonates, guys, and if you have any questions or it makes sense to you, or you want to understand a little bit more about your nervous system when you move through the things that happen in our environment that are unexpected, don't be afraid to reach out. We do nervous system coaching and courses regularly online, in person, or if you've got some questions regarding one-on-one coaching, just give us a holler. But do everything you can do to be compassionate through the times that are really difficult, because the thing is, it's happening anyway. And we can choose to see it with blame or shame or guilt, which gets us nowhere. Trust me, I've tried. I tried for like 25 years with those emotions linked into it. And it just keeps us in the loop, of that, shame, blame and guilt, and it doesn't get us anywhere. But if we can choose to move through the discomfort and the grief with compassion, your nervous system responds quite differently, and it gives you the permission to move through it, to hold yourself in a place of gentleness whilst we're moving through the discomfort, and it's a completely different experience.